Hello, everyone, and welcome. Let's just jump right into this explainer. Today, we're taking a good, hard look in the mirror and, well, into our wallets to figure out the fascinating biology behind why we buy what we buy. You know, so often, we absolutely beat ourselves up over our finances, thinking we're just inherently careless with our money. But as you'll see today, our brains are actually doing exactly what human brains were designed to do.
To set the stage here, I want you to imagine this classic scenario. You walk into a supermarket and your mission is super simple. You just need a single loaf of bread. That's it. But 20 minutes later, you're walking out the sliding doors, you look down into your bags, and what do you have? You've got scented candles, some premium chocolates, a completely new coffee mug, 3 different kinds of snacks, and a highly specific kitchen gadget that, let's be totally honest with ourselves, is literally never going to see the light of day. And the bread? Yeah, you completely forgot it. We've all been there, right? We've all laughed about it, but there is a very specific reason this happens.
So the crucial point isn't really asking why people buy unnecessary things. If we just ask that, we kind of miss the underlying psychology altogether. The better question, the one we are answering today, is why those exact unnecessary things feel absolutely, undeniably essential in the heat of the moment. Like, why does that kitchen gadget suddenly feel like the missing piece to your life's puzzle?
Well, let's dive into Section 1, the urge to splurge, and see how this builds by looking at 2 entirely different approaches to a sudden windfall.
This brilliantly illustrates the diverging paths of 2 colleagues. Let's call them Aisha and Daniel. Now, they're both 30 years old, they work at the exact same company, and they make the exact same salary. One Friday afternoon, they both get the exact same bonus. Now, Aisha immediately opens her favorite shopping app. Within an hour, she has ordered new shoes, wireless earbuds, designer sunglasses, and some decorative lights for her apartment. Boom, the money spent. Now look at Daniel. He receives the exact same bonus, but he just smiles, closes his banking app, and simply decides to wait until the weekend before making any purchases. 2 people, the exact same money, but completely different outcomes.
Moving right along to Section 2, your brain on shopping, let's explore exactly what happens inside our heads when we make these contrasting choices.
To really understand this, imagine that your brain is naturally designed with this giant button literally labeled reward. Every single time you're about to buy something exciting, that button just lights up with pure anticipation. You feel this intense excitement, satisfaction, and your brain releases a massive emotional rush of chemicals linked to pleasure and motivation. And surprisingly, studies show that dopamine actually spikes before you even swipe your card, not after. It's the anticipation, not the actual possession of the item, that creates this immense chemical release. And of course, a few days later, that excitement fades away, and your brain immediately starts scanning the horizon for the very next reward.
Now, what's really fascinating here is how perfectly businesses leverage the psychology. Imagine Aisha goes to the mall on Saturday. Huge signs are screaming 70% off or last chance. Now, she wasn't even planning to shop, but suddenly that scarcity marketing kicks in. Walking away from a jacket she definitely doesn't need suddenly feels like she is actually losing money. The urgency creates action. Marketers know for a fact that the fear of missing out on a massive discount often feels vastly stronger than the logical desire to just save your money.
But it's not just marketers driving this behavior. In Section 3, Traps and Social Mirrors, we'll examine how our peers and environment stack the deck against our wallets. Because we are deeply social creatures, right? When Daniel is at work, he notices one colleague buys the newest smartphone. Soon, 3 more upgrade. Or say a neighbor purchases a luxury SUV, and suddenly the whole neighborhood is talking about getting new cars. We are seeing social comparison in action. It's a completely natural human tendency to compare ourselves with others. But the real financial danger is that there will always be someone earning more or showing off more online. When we fall into this trap, spending shifts from actually meeting our real, personal needs to becoming entirely about just keeping up with the group.
And this social mirror extends directly to your environment too. Imagine moving into a new, relatively empty apartment. At first it feels perfectly fine. You're happy. But then you open up social media and see these beautifully, perfectly decorated homes. Suddenly, your perfectly fine apartment feels totally incomplete. Notice that nothing in your room actually changed, only your perception changed. Advertising and social media essentially sold you the feeling that a new purchase would miraculously improve your life. So how do these psychological pressures actually drain our bank accounts on a daily basis? That brings us to Section 4, the danger of tiny leaks.
Think about a boat crossing the ocean. A boat rarely sinks because of one giant dramatic hole, right? Instead, it sinks from dozens of tiny unfixed leaks. Well, your money works the exact same way. It's the daily food deliveries, the unused streaming subscriptions, those small impulse purchases at the checkout counter, convenience fees, and random flash sales. On their own, none of these seem dangerous, but together, these small, seemingly harmless expenses quietly consume thousands of dollars over time without you even noticing. It's death by 1,000 cuts.
If you want to see this in your own life, try the closet test. One afternoon, Aisha opens her wardrobe and finds unworn shoes and clothes with the price tag still rigidly attached. She looks in the kitchen and sees that random gadget just collecting dust. It's a tough pill to swallow, for sure, but she realizes she didn't actually want the item. She just wanted the temporary emotional fix of buying it. The purchase solved a fleeting emotion in the store, not a permanent need in her life.
Now that we've agitated the problem and seen the traps, let's pivot to a concrete framework for regaining control in Section 5, the 7-day wait. Remember Daniel from earlier? Daniel's rule is an incredibly actionable tool you can start using literally today. Whenever he wants something expensive, he just follows these steps. First, he writes it down. Second, he waits 7 days. Third, he evaluates if it genuinely adds value to his life. And finally, he purchases it only if the desire is still there. By simply writing it down and waiting a week, you give logic a chance to override those fleeting emotional chemicals. More often than not, you'll find that after 7 days, the intense desire to buy it just magically disappears. Applying Daniel's rule helps you master the absolutely crucial difference between needs and wants. Imagine carrying a backpack on a really long hike. Every unnecessary item you pack just makes the journey harder, right? Needs, like food, housing, and healthcare, support your life. Wants, like travel, entertainment, and nice clothes, make life enjoyable. And hey, neither is wrong to have. But the real financial danger only begins when every single want starts feeling like a heavy, absolute need. Learning to separate the two is one of the most valuable financial skills you can possibly develop.
Let's fast forward a bit in Section 6, Spending with Intention, and look at the long-term compounding effects of these two different psychological approaches to money.
5 years later, both Aisha and Daniel are enjoying really meaningful experiences, taking vacations, eating good meals. But Aisha has evolved. She now buys fewer things, uses them more, and has learned to choose quality over impulse. And Daniel, well, Daniel isn't richer because he hoarded his money and never spent a dime. He's richer because he spends intentionally. Both of them prove that true wealth comes from intentional spending that reflects your core values, not just your passing emotions.
Because, look, the solution isn't to completely stop buying things. That's literally impossible. The solution is to become vividly aware of why you are buying them. Before your very next purchase, just take a breath, pause, and ask yourself this crucial question. Am I truly solving a real problem in my life, or am I just chasing that temporary chemical reward in my brain? Will this item actually matter to me next year?
And even more importantly, ask yourself what future freedom or opportunity you are sacrificing by choosing to spend those dollars right now. Every single dollar has a choice attached to it. It can create a few minutes of excitement right now at the checkout counter, or it can compound into years of opportunity and peace of mind down the road.
Financial freedom doesn't just magically begin when you start earning more money. It begins when you understand your own brain better. Because as this explainer reveals, sometimes the absolute smartest purchase is simply the one you consciously choose not to make. So, I'll leave you with this. Looking around your room right now, what are you currently paying for today that is costing you your future freedom? Think about it.